Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Change Podcast. I'm Nicole Harvick. I am your host, and I am bringing you another amazing guest today. So, before we start, just let me tell you a little bit about this gentleman. He is the founder and CEO of the Business Blueprint, where he works with small business owners to turn ideas into reality. And I think we need a lot of that. I want to welcome DeShaun Williams to the Change Podcast. How are you, Deshun?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
You know what? I'm doing really good. I'm excited to hear from you. How did you get the idea for the business blueprint?
The idea behind the business blueprint, even though we opened back in December of 2025, literally the last 2 days of December 2025, it was
You're
something that
brave. You're brave.
yeah, it was something that ultimately had been in my mind for a while. Um, I like this isn't the first business I've ever owned or operated. There were several companies that I operated while I was in the state of South Carolina, my hometown, and the first one started in 2018, and it
Wow.
was more or less because I was told, "Hey, you're good at these things. You should start a business." Okay, you know what? How hard can it? How hard can it actually be to start a business? I mean, all you have to do is fill out some paperwork and the Secretary of State, they sign into existence and you're good. You have a LLC or whatnot. You have a nonprofit. Well, that's while it looks good on paper, if you don't know what you're doing, it can become very, very stressful. And I just remember at that time I went from confidence coaching to leadership coaching to I just want to help everybody. I don't care what kind of coaching I'm doing. It's like, and the biggest problem was what looked like a business on the outside was not operating like a business on the inside. There was a lot of times where I would look busy and I would be on calls, but nothing would ever get done. And that's where I feel like a lot of people are at now. But it definitely did help me, especially when COVID hit.
Ooh,
Um, because I was also working a full time job, and I mean, I still do work a full time job as well. I don't want to give anyone the impression that I don't still work full time. I absolutely love working, so I'm gonna work if I can. But when COVID hit, that's when it really hit me like, oh, this business is not up to the standards that it needs to be because I mean, I was working security at the time. There's a lot of people that was laid off and they was getting unemployment. I didn't get so lucky. I was being an essential employee because I worked security and brought home $292 a week.
ooh,
That's not much when you think about it, especially when you got a
yeah.
car, cell phone payment, and all these other expenses. And I was like, okay, we got to figure out how to make the business money. The business made absolutely no money. What kept the business in business, or what made it seem like it was still in business, was the good old stimulus checks that we got during that time. To continue putting money into a business that was already long gone. And ultimately, I held on to this business from 2018 up until 2023. Well,
Wow.
2024 actually. And I was like, okay. And it was because I was afraid of giving up something that I had put so much money into, so much time. And I felt like, oh, if I do this, then people are going to see me as as someone that just gives up when life gets hard. You know, it's okay to give up sometimes, like, but don't let it become something that you constantly do just because life gets hard or something doesn't work out. And when I when I left that business, I was like, okay, I'm a writer, I'm an author. I want to help people write their books. So Write Your Way LLC came into existence. I was working in Ohio at this time, but I was still a South Carolina resident. So I was like, okay, let's figure out how to do this. And I mean, I was going home in between jobs and whatnot. So that's why I was still able to claim residency in South Carolina. And what really got me thinking was, hey, I like to write books, but how many self-published authors want to hear from another self-published author about what they should be doing in their books and editing their work? And I mean, the business did great. I had a mission statement, I had a vision, I had a long-term goal. I had everything I needed to keep this business open. What ultimately ended that business was the fact that I now reside in West Virginia.
Ah,
And I couldn't bring that business to West Virginia without closing it in South Carolina and bringing that name to West Virginia and hoping that name was available. At the same time, I was getting my associate's degree in business management. And I was like, okay, I know what it takes. I now know the basis of what it takes to open up a business. But at the same time, being in these classes with the associate program, it was okay. Now I see why a lot of businesses don't succeed, why they fail within the first 3 years, why
mm,
mine's failed, and why I continue to try to put money into it, trying to um trying to shark something back to life that was dead on arrival ultimately. And so when it came down to it, I was like, okay, this is why I need to do this. And I mean, I'm not gonna say that I'm the best at it because I'm always learning. It's always things that we can learn. But at the same time, this was things that I was doing for family and friends, even when my first business was in the gutter of, hey, this is what you're missing. Like I always knew that a business needed to have a vision, it needed to have a mission, an executive summary. I just didn't have it for my initial business. And so I was like, well, I've been doing it for free all this time. I failed in my first business. Let's, let's build a business to not just provide services, but to also educate others on what it takes to be successful in business, understanding what their strength, weaknesses, and opportunities and all of that are. Like, let's understand, let's help them understand what that is, and then also helping them understand, working with them of, hey, you have an idea, but can we make this idea make sense so that when it launches, it can be ready and set up for success? So that's kind of where the business blueprint came from. And the name, I just, it's a very common word because when you think about it, business blueprint, oh, every business need a blueprint. Okay. Well, let's make it as easy as possible. And so that's how I came up with the DBA for the business to use as the business blueprint because our the actual LLC name is Ground Up Business Solutions, and that
oh,
makes
okay.
sense as well. So you have Ground Up Business Solutions LLC doing business as the business blueprint, and it's like everything just came together in that name because we're building from the ground up, and we're giving you your business and your blueprint to be successful in it.
Wow. And I really like that name, Business Blueprint. It pops. People recognize what you're talking about. But I have a question for you because my daughter just graduated college this past December. And see if you agree, what they teach you in school and then getting in the real world, those are two different things, aren't they?
Most definitely. I mean, I went back to college after 10 years and dropping out numerous times. So I literally just got my degree back in December 14th and
Congratulations.
2025. Thank you. And I'm back in for my certification for human resource management. But you have school smart, book smart, and then you have real world experience. And I've always stated, because I always see the meme on Facebook, it's like trying to open up the doors that college always said that your degree will open for you. A degree can open doors for you, but how much real world experience do you have? And it kind of comes down, and I see this also in jobs as a supervisor at my current job. We tend to see a job where a job application where it requires an associate's or a bachelor's degree in something, then it requires 3 to 5 years in experience. And then it's like, well, I just got this degree. How do you expect me to have this experience? Because they're not just looking for a degree, they're looking to see if you have that real world experience. Because just like when we went to grade school, you're taught the lesson and then you're given the quiz to see what you learn. Life, on the other hand, will test you and then teach you the lesson that you was meant to be taught. And you can, and dogging, I'm not talking bad on any any professor or whatnot because I have utmost respect for a lot of professors. But you do have some professors, they teach a certain class, a certain course, and they have no experience in that said course. And it makes you think like what made them qualified to be able to teach this. But they may have a real world experience working in a field of that nature, but not necessarily as owning a business or being a manager or working in HR. So
Yeah. And like for her, her degree got her hired. She moved to Nashville in like at Wasserman in a couple places, and she sat there and she says, I was just surrounded by walls and dividers. And she says, I can't work like that. So that degree got her a job she did not want. So,
right.
now what she did is she went out and created her job by DMing people. She wanted to be a tour manager, and she is one now in Nashville. But she was very proactive in what she wanted, and she picked up the phone. She went to mixers. She immersed herself in the places where she thought she could find people with the same mentality. What do you think about that? I mean, being proactive like that is very helpful, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, Absolutely. Being proactive, knowing what you want in life is definitely um it's gonna help you get to more places. Why? Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to sit here and I'm gonna wait for the opportunity to drop into my lap. It may, but most times it's not going to. If you want something in life, sometimes you have to build that backbone and say, this isn't working for me, and I want to create this lifestyle for me. And I'll be the first to say, working working 9 to 5s, it's not everyone's cup of tea, mostly. A lot of people that have businesses, they create their business to get away from the 9 to 5. They want to be their own boss. And I completely understand that.
Yeah, as do I.
But right, but in order to get to that level of saying, "Hey, I never want to go back to a 9 to 5 job," and some jobs aren't 9 to 5; they're 12 hours, to 16 hours, or they could be part time. But whatever it may be, saying, "Hey, I never want to go back to a job. I never want to have to live paycheck to paycheck or clock in on somebody else's time card." It's you have to have that motivation, that drive, and that determination to know what it's going to take, and understanding that there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, and you may get, if you're cold calling, oh, you may just get cussed out more times than you would like. If you're cold messaging, an example, LinkedIn, you could be left on red, you could be blocked, you could be even talked about, and some of the worst ways possible. But you have to understand that sometimes you have to get 100 no's before you get that first yes. But how you handle that rejection will determine how you are able to handle stress in a business, but not just in business, in life. How do you control your anger? How do you control your temper, your attitude, your mouth, your emotions? How do you control all of this? How do you react to rejection? And then when you finally get that yes and you get that payday, how do you how disciplined are you? Are you disciplined enough to put that money aside just in case you have a bad month? Or do you go out there and you splurge and you spend it all because you're like, oh, I made it today. I can go back and make it tomorrow. And I can make two times this next month.
Great point. Great point. I love that. And you earlier you mentioned 2020, and we all know what that was. But that kind of changed momentum and the path of a lot of people, don't you think?
Yeah, 2020, it definitely changed the path. It changed the path, it changed the trajectory all around because a lot of people that never really thought about opening up a business, they saw what happened. They seen what was happening. You could have been at a job for 10, 15 plus years, and now they have to close or they have to lay off a certain amount of people because the fire marshal says, hey, you can only have this amount of people, or production just wasn't going as smooth as it originally was. A lot of people's like, okay, we're gonna start a business. Now I will say, especially while my time in South Carolina, because that's where I was born and raised, I would say I saw a lot of businesses open up in 2020 that were not legit at all.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
they and it was kind of because of if we all remember the PPP loan.
Mm-hmm.
People trying to go out there, they were trying to get this loan. But I always say it's easy to start a business, especially in South Carolina, because there's no monthly, you don't have to file monthly. You don't have to renew every 6 months. The Secretary of State of South Carolina really isn't looking into the finance, especially if you are a single member LLC. If you're a bigger company, yes, but a single member LLC is taxed just like a sole proprietorship. And that helps, but it hurts at the same time because who's to say that everything that you're buying and spending money on is actually a business expense, right? But I think it also helped a lot of people because they got into the situation. And it was like, oh, what do I do now? And a lot of businesses that started during COVID ultimately didn't make it
Mm-hmm.
through because they realized it's hard to get funding and you have to pay to get it registered with the Secretary of State. The only thing you don't have to pay for is to get that EIN number.
Mm.
It's really the only thing in a business that you don't have to pay for. And I just want to drop this tip in there. If you ever run into someone that tries to help you get your FEIN number, your Federal Employee Identification Number, and they charge you, go somewhere else because the IRS doesn't charge you. That's
Yeah.
one of the easiest things that you can do on your own is going to the IRS website and getting that EIN
And
number.
it takes about 10 minutes, right? If that.
Yeah,
It
I
just
think at
pops right
most,
up.
Right. And then it gives you the PDF to download and says save for your file. It's the number that you're gonna use for your bank accounts and everything. So apply for your anything that you need to apply for, business assets, business fundings, business accounts, whatever it may be. And it separates you from your business, even though as a single person LLC, they kind of your credit score and your business EIN number is gonna kind of go, it's gonna coincide in each other, but at least your business has its own EIN number so that when you decide to hire people, it can pull off of that business income instead of just your income and your credit score, especially if the business doesn't have a score yet. But a lot of people in 2020, they had to understand, like, oh, this is what's going to happen. And you're out of work. You're not getting as much in unemployment. You've spent your money. You spent the stimulus checks on who knows what. Now you're just burning holes in your pocket trying to stay ahead because you don't know what your long term goal is. All you knew is you wanted to create a business in hopes that it would be successful. But a lot of them just didn't have that drive, that work ethic, or that mentality of an entrepreneur to keep it going.
Now, when you meet someone that you're going to be working with, is there a certain demeanor you look for? Because, some people you can kind of think, well, this person, it's not going to happen. But others, you're like, oh, this person is perfectly suited to be an owner, an operator, make the cold calls, do everything right, and then you can just lead them. Can you gauge when you meet someone or how they talk or what words they use?
So normally when I'm getting ready to meet with someone that I can potentially work with, it's gonna be a lot of people, they want to do the phone calls. I'm
Mm.
I'm a person that I will do a video call, or if I'm at my actual office, I will do a face-to-face meeting. And the reason why is because you can say anything I want to hear over the phone. I can't see your body language. I can't
Ooh,
see facial expressions. Words, they s- words can mean a lot if you actually have the mentality and the expressions to back it up. But a facial expression speaks so much more than words
yeah.
do. Actions speak louder than words do as well. And then,
That's really that what you're saying right now is really, really crucial. I believe that too. Eye contact, body language, you can learn a lot from a person.
right. And if we're on a Zoom call, and I'm going to use my chair for example, but if we're on a Zoom call and I'm talking to you and you have an office chair and you're leaned all the way back, I'm not sure I'm going to take you serious because just a little, it's okay to be relaxed, but you're a little too relaxed. And that's going to bring up the question of where does your mindset sit? If you are told no, how are you going to react? If someone yells at you and cusses you out, how are you going to react? Are you going to stay calm? Or are you going to want to get up and want to cuss them out and bite them and whatnot? It's going to, and then you have to, then it comes down to why do you want to start a business? What is your end goal? And that sometimes can lead to a yes immediately or a no simultaneously. But also, you know, a lot of people, and I have a bad habit of this, and I've really had to learn on it myself and
Mhm.
like teach myself this lesson. When someone's talking to you and someone's interviewing you or trying to, whatever it may be, casual conversation, even, and you're standing there and you got your arms crossed and you're looking around and you're looking at your phone, you're looking at your watch, it makes that person that's talking to you feel like this is not of importance. But most times, if you have your arms crossed, you're already saying, I'm not interested. I'm just here because this was the time that I booked to meet with you. And
That is so true. That is, I wish more people understood that, because I've wasted so much time in groups that they try to get you into and pay for, and it's like they're not my people. They're not my people. I can feel it. And
right.
so watching body language will give you everything you need to know about someone.
And also, if you ask them a question and it's like they are, especially if they answer the question just a little too perfect, like it's rehearsed, it throws a red flag because no one should sound like a robot. You should sound like your authentic self. That's who I want to work with. I want to work with someone that is authentic, not someone that's gonna put on a facade of telling me what I want to hear and thinking that just being the person that everyone loves and that it's gonna get them business. And I've told people all the time, I'm not always the one that people want to work with. Why? Because and it's one of my favorite saying. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I may be 28 years old, but as someone who has been a hiring manager, currently a supervisor, business owner, worked in retail, security, food and beverage, all of these different things, and has seen the different things, I know what to look for and what not to look for. But at the same time, people can tell when you are, um, what is the PG version of this? Um, when you're just talking just to hear yourself talk, and it's just full of it ultimately, and
Yeah.
not really wanting, excuse me, and not saying what you really mean. And that's why I always tell people, when people ask me, when people come to you, what do you tell them? I tell them, you're paying me to he- for me to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. I'm telling you, I'm going to be the person that's going to give you the honest truth. It's
I love
tough
that.
love, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be what you need to hear in order to be successful in not just your business, but also in life.
Well stated. Well stated. And we're almost at the end of our time, and you have delivered an amazing amount of information. And what I'd like from you now is just a few little nuggets of how does someone get started? What should they look for, and why should they come to you?
And so when someone's wanting to get started in their business, first thing they should look for is what is that, first of all, who is their target audience? Second of all, once they realize who their target audience is, what is the struggle that they are having every single day? How are you going to how are you going to fix this problem? And then you have to have a solution for that, because even when you solve a problem that they may have, there could be another underlying problem to that problem. So how do you solve that problem? And I think the reason why they should come to me, and I always tell people I'm not a big salesman, but uh, that's one thing that I'm probably one of the best things at doing. Is because when you come to me, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna look at your business idea, and we're gonna get everything from the idea to every step in between up until your launch. We're gonna look at the business name. Do you need to be a sole proprietor, LLC, S corp, whatever? And then we're gonna help you get that DBA, the bank account, and then Do you need a virtual office? Do you need a physical office? Are you going to work from home? Are you going to have a home office? I'm going to look at all of that. And then literally, if you don't want to write your business plan, guess who will? I will. And one of the
Oh,
best things about it, the best promise that I have, and the guarantee that anyone that I've worked with so far will tell you, I listen to what you have to say, even if you don't know how to word it. I literally sit here. I have 12 notebooks. I will sit here and I will write what you say, and I will take those notes and I will create your executive summary, your mission statement, your vision statement, your 3 to 5 year goal, and then I will create your business plan. And the time frame that I'll have it to you, 48 to 72 hours for you to review. You tell me if you like it or not. If you do, good. If you don't, I'll go back, I'll make those revisions, and I'll have it back to you within 48 hours.
boom. That's
And plus,
amazing.
and plus
Yeah.
I'm fairly inexpensive. A lot of people for this type of work, they charge $1,500. I charge for a business plan, I charge 300 and between 350 to $400. So
Wow, that's well worth it. Well worth it. Well, I want to thank you for coming on today. And you have so much. I knew you were very young when I heard 28. I'm like, you know a lot of stuff. You know a lot of stuff. I'm very impressed with your amount of knowledge, your graciousness, and your kindness. So I just want to thank you for being on today. And I want to tell our audiences that in your description, which will be up on TikTok will be up on, oh God, I'm blank now. I'm going to have it up on, I'm going to send it to you. You're going to be able to post it and everyone can see where to get a hold of you at. So that's really, really important. I want people to reach out to you and get a hold of you, use you, and just keep creating. So thank you so much for this. And I'm just grateful that you came on today.
thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.